If you define leadership through stiff hierarchy, then the leader is the one who's at the top of the ladder. He might have clawed his way up there, he might have been born there. The important thing is the position he now holds. He's the big man with the big title in the big office who has lots of other big things. At worst, he's a big-mouthed tyrant who can get away with just about anything because of his claims to the highest rung. At best, he speaks softly and carries a big stick. I know this sounds like a gross generalization, but it's not that far off the truth. There's often little correlation between the titles we hold and our ability levels. So often we find people who are wearing the tag that says, "Hi, my name is the leader," is the one who actually gets to exercise authority. So if hierarchy isn't the best way to think about leadership, then how should we think about leadership? Take a look at these photos. They were all thought leaders. We all know them to be so. Whether or not we agree with their philosophies, their practices, they were all people that had many followers and they all made a mark. What did they do to earn their position? How did they come to exercise the control so fundamental to leadership? Perhaps it's a matter of fate. There's just some people that are born leaders, possessing that supernatural ability to draw others to them. Perhaps it's a matter of chance. You know, there's just some lucky people out there that happen to be in the right place at the right time and therefore were given the opportunity to be leaders. Or perhaps it's a matter of choice. Fate and chance can always play a role, but they're not sufficient. Choice is the only thing we have that enables us to put control in our hands. It's the only thing that enables us to go from who we are today, where we are today, to where we want to be tomorrow. And so it is necessarily the most powerful tool that leaders have that enables them to forge their paths and guide those who rely and trust upon them. Ultimately, leaders are evaluated by the choices they make. And so if we aim to become better leaders, then we need to study how to improve our choice making so that we can harness the power of choice, which can be both transformative and yet at the same time can be quite unwieldy. So what does a leader need to know and do in order to make the best choices? First, recognize that we are all born with the need for control. Part of a leader's job is to be able to extend control to everybody in an organization regardless of their position. And that your responsibility as a leader is not just to maintain control over an organization, but to be able to distribute control and sometimes even relinquish it. When people feel in control, they can actually accomplish amazing things. Let's take the story of Steve Callahan. He was an avid and skilled sailor. In 1982, he set out on a boat race just off the coast of Africa from the Canary Islands to the Caribbean. He'd made his own boat. It was a one-man boat. Less than a week out at sea, disaster struck and his boat was capsized. He was now stuck in a leaky, inflatable raft, no food, 800 miles away from land, and no prospects for rescue. In his autobiography, he recounts his thoughts during those critical hours after that storm. He writes, "I am captain of my tiny ship in treacherous waters. I have overcome almost certain death. I now have a choice to make. I can either pilot myself to a new life or give up and watch myself die. I choose to keep kicking for as long as I can." Dire as his situation was, Callahan believed he had a choice. And by thinking of his circumstances in terms of choice, he was able to regain some measure of control over his life. He was able to create choices for himself. So he collected rainwater for drinking, fashioned his own little makeshift spear and used it as a fishing pole, and collected barnacles. In order to maintain his sanity, he decided to write in his diary, and when his weak body would allow it, he did yoga. Other than that, he just drifted along. 76 days later, he was found by another boat. He is one of the very few people we know of that's actually managed to survive lost at sea, all alone, for more than 30 days. No doubt, skill and luck played a role. You know, choice is not always a guarantee that you're going to survive a catastrophic situation. But let's face it, it can turn the odds in your favor. If it encourages you to go that extra mile, it might make all the difference you need. Over the years, I've talked to many different successful people, studied many different leaders in the process of teaching leadership, and there's a common ingredient to all of them. In all cases, regardless of the specifics of their individual stories, they managed to see choice where others didn't.